soda. Remy boys that know fast money don't slow.
We have a founder of Scatter, Nathan, with us. Hello, Nathan.
How you doing?
It's an absolute honor to have you here. For those of you who may not know about what Scatter is an application that can be used to verify identity, and it functions. It could also function as a wallet, and it communicates with both EOS and Ethereum. Recently, there was a vote for 21 BPs in EOS, and Scatter was widely used application. And I'm really honored to have Nathan with us. So
funny story about that. I actually, Scatter was never intended to be this voting.
Oh, really?
Application. Yeah. It wasn't intended for people to hold their entire EOS stack on. You're supposed to send it a little bit so you can use that to play with dApps. But it is what it is, right?
Yeah, it is what it is. So the first question I want to ask you is, could you briefly introduce yourself and what your background is?
Sure. I'm Ennis James, or Nathan James, and my background is primarily computer science. I've been a programmer for longer than I'd like to say here on camera, probably about 10, 15 years. And that's it. I'm not, Google or Apple or just a freelance programmer who happens to be good.
Oh, so where are you right now?
I am based in Israel right now.
Oh,
I live
really?
here with my wife.
Oh, that's really cool. So the second
far.
Oh, yeah, it's really far from Korea.
Yeah, it's far from everywhere.
And the second question I want to ask you is, why did you start Scatter? I mean, what was your motivation to start the project?
Well, it's a two-part answer. So the first part is that I wanted to make a dApp, and I couldn't because no users could use that dApp without putting private keys into the browser, which of course we all know is taboo and we should not do. And if you don't know, then don't put your keys into a browser. And the second part was that I used a couple different things like MetaMask and then wallets and having to transfer things to addresses or QR codes or stuff like that. And it's not very user-friendly. It's not like logging into an application with Facebook or Google login. There's no single-click action there. So it came out of a need, I guess.
Oh, okay. So another question is, Scatter communicates with both EOS and Ethereum. I mean, Ethereum is understandable because it's second biggest cryptocurrency. There are a lot of needs for EOS, but no, not Ethereum. But instead, why did you choose to communicate with EOS? Because it's quite recent that EOS came out, and
EOS was the first. Scatter didn't support Ethereum off the bat. It supported EOS initially because it was made to fill that void in EOS. And then I added Ethereum support because I don't believe that any blockchain will be the last blockchain. We're all inside of this grand experiment to find, all the blockchains that we can and use them for what their purpose is. And Ethereum is just another blockchain.
So
we can't build a blockchain.
What potential do you see in EOS?
Scalability.
Oh,
really? If we're talking about apps that users can use, and because Scatter is very focused on bringing new users into the blockchain space, and those users don't want to have to wait 20 seconds, 30 seconds for a transaction to complete.
And another question is, I've used both MetaMask and Scatter, but to be very frank, I found MetaMask to be very difficult to use. And I tried to delete my account, but I was not able to succeed in that. I had no idea how to do it.
In MetaMask, you literally cannot delete one account. You have to delete all of your accounts.
Oh, so what improvement did you make? What improvement was made?
There's actually a bunch of stuff that is improved over MetaMask. I don't want to, say improved because MetaMask is great. It is the founder of all of the extension wallets. However, it does a couple things that aren't great for the user, such as when you land on any application, whether they're integrated with MetaMask or not, MetaMask gives away your public key, the public key that you currently have selected inside of MetaMask, which means that any application can go and use your public key to see how much you have on Ethereum. So they can aggregate data about you. And that's not very private. And then it also doesn't have any concept of multi-part login. So you can only log in with the account that you currently have selected in MetaMask, which isn't great because you might want to use different accounts on different websites, and then you have to start switching between them, and that's not a very good user experience. So Scatter solves both of those problems with identities. So you can compare this domain with this identity and this domain with this identity at the same time. You can actually have all of your identities paired with different domains, and that also makes it so it doesn't give away your information. If they don't request an identity from Scatter, then they can't get any information out of you.
So it's much more secure and user friendly, I guess.
I don't think that's actually about security. The security is, I guess, there's a couple things that Scatter does, like the encrypted tunnel between the website, which makes it a bit more secure, but it's more about privacy.
Privacy. Okay. And I would like to talk about now, which is a really important thing, the RIDL coin.
Yeah.
But I know that there are a lot of legal issues due to, there are SECs and there are a lot of legal issues. So I won't ask any specific questions, but the question that I want to ask you is, why did you choose Airdrop instead of ICO?
Ooh, that's a hard one. I don't actually like ICOs very much. I think that when a company does an ICO, they usually get far, far more than they need. And sure, it's not about getting an exact amount. It's about getting as much money as you need to accomplish your goal now and any goal in the future. But I think that you can accomplish the same amount with an airdrop based on what people think the token is worth. So if you airdrop, let's say, 75% of your tokens and you keep 25%, and people suddenly say that that token is worth 25 cents, you end up with enough money to do anything that you want with your development.
So why don't you like ICO instead of?
I think that in a lot of cases it creates a lot of scams. So people buy into these ICOs and then they become investors. They feel, even if they're not investors, they feel like investors. And then when something goes wrong, it's a very personal thing for that person. They're like, oh, I put $50,000 into this, and now how do I take back my money? With an airdrop, you don't really have that. There's no cost to the user aside from speculation of what that price of the token might be. There's less ability for them to get burned.
That's true. That was a really good point. And another thing that all the viewers are really curious about is what benefits and utility could user get from RIDL coin?
Well, so I'm waiting for this video from Tulip, which really laid it all out. But RIDL is going to be incredibly awesome. It's going to allow users to rate and provide security for everybody. Security in the sense of what is a scam and what is not, who pays back loans, and, across all websites on the web. Not just EOS, not just Ethereum or Cardano or Aeon or any blockchain ever to come, but also websites like Facebook and Twitter or just your bank, for instance. And then users can say, this website does this, this, and this wrong, but it does this, this, and this good. And then other users can say this website does XXX wrong or XXX good, and then it aggregates all of that together. And when you land on a website, it will be able to tell you if something is a scam, if something has bad user experience, if some exchange doesn't pay out, for instance. So it's providing a level of security for the internet that you don't really have, and it's doing so in a decentralized manner. So across many, many users, where the users are actually technically the miners, for instance. And on top of that, there's also the personal reputation for a user. An application can also give reputation to a user in the same way. So they can say XXX is good, XXX is bad. And then those users can go to other applications, let's say a lending website, and the lending website will know, hey, this user pays back his loans. We accept this user and we would give him a loan. So it has a lot of different benefits that I can't even tell you what they're going to be because nobody knows yet.
I know it's a really difficult question to ask. And I think you gave a thorough explanation, but I'm really curious, how in real life, how can it actually be used, the RIDL coin? Could you give me a specific example? If it's
that is a hard question because first we have to take the blockchain to real life, right? The second that you can walk into a store, let's say you wanted to buy a new phone and get a new phone plan. So, or even your credit score, right? You wanted to buy a house. They can go to the blockchain, see what your credit score was inside of RIDL based on all these other similar credit applications, and then they can use that. Or they can see that you're a good customer in other phone companies, so they can use that. Technologies are like this. If it's a good technology, then you can build on top of it. Otherwise, you're the technology building on top of something. And you always want to be the technology that people build on top of.
And next question might be more difficult, actually. So
I like it.
You've mentioned about your reputation and identity and those kind of stuff. But why are they so important in blockchain space?
It's primarily due to security. And not security in the sense of key pairs or encryption or anything like that, but your asset, your digital asset security. So we see this on Twitter every day, all day. Even Vitalik has next to his name, not giving away Ethereum, right? And it's because people can come and they can replicate his exact name without other people being able to notice. So people fall into these scams. And when you have a way to make people unique across all networks, across domains or addresses or account names, then you have a way to show people that they can be protected. They don't have to worry. If they're about to do something which would hurt them, then we can tell them they're about to do something like that.
Wow, that's really fantastic. I always see Vitalik and all these popular people with not giving away Ethereum for free all the time.
It's a real problem. But that's the funny thing. You've made it when somebody duplicates your account on Twitter, right?
And next question is, how many teams do you have, and what's their background?
So it is me and a legal team.
Oh,
that's it.
Oh,
that's
really? That's it?
Yeah. I make it look like more. I do, but that's it.
That's it? And you have no plan of hiring other people?
I do. Very soon, Scatter will have a bunch more people on it.
Okay. And this is the last question. Where do you see yourself and Scatter in the future in 3 to 5 years? What is the future of Scatter and yourself?
Well, if we're talking about users, I hope that there are equivalent to the amount of users, maybe not equivalent to the amount of users using Facebook login, but a large percentage of that so that they can own their own data. There is a lot of benefit to using your own computer as your personal data storage instead of Facebook.com. So I hope that it becomes widely used not only for blockchain applications, but also for centralized applications, because people right now are very angry. They want to stop giving away their private data. So I hope that it becomes large enough for people to actually know that it exists, because that's the problem with every application. You can create the most amazing thing in the world, but if nobody knows that it exists, then nobody's going to use it. So I hope it gets that mass adoption and helps bring people not only to the blockchain, but to a safer internet. And where I see myself go, I don't know, man. I'll be on Scatter.
You might be in a Lambo and then...
Oh, no Lambos for me, man.
Okay, that was joking. Thank you.
I'll be on the moon.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time. And it was a really great pleasure to have an interview with you.
Thank you very much for having me.
And I got this soda, Remy boys that